Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Colleges That Change Lives virtual college fair. We're so excited to have you participating in this event. We have some fantastic schools here with us today. My name is Kelsey, and I'm going to be your facilitator. Before we get started, a few housekeeping announcements. Your cameras and microphones are turned off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time. This is just one of multiple different sessions happening today and tomorrow, so please be sure to check out the schedule on the website for additional sessions. This presentation is also being recorded and will be available at strivescan.com/CTCL. Before I turn it over to our first school, I do have a short video for everyone to watch. So without further ado, we are going to hear from Colleges That Change Lives.
Hi, I'm Ann Morano, Executive Director of the Colleges That Change Lives. Congratulations on starting or continuing your college search, and thanks for saying yes to spending some time with us during the virtual college fair. I'm so excited for you. Take a deep breath. You got this. One thing you need to know about all of the colleges that change lives is that we are fiercely committed and dedicated to the individual student, that's you, and a student-centered search. You really matter to us. So think about what you value and what you're looking for in your college experience. What will make you happy on campus? What sorts of experiences are you looking forward to having in and outside of the classroom? What sorts of clubs and organizations do you want to get involved with? Do you want to start? What sorts of folks do you want to be surrounded by? People who have similar backgrounds, similar viewpoints and opinions, or people who come from different backgrounds who have different opinions and viewpoints? What kinds of conversations do you want to get involved in on campus? Again, in and out of the classroom. Which ones do you want to start? Which ones do you want to spill out into the hallways after class is ended? What sort of physical environment are you looking forward to? Do you want to be in an urban metropolitan area or further away in what I call a more rural, nature, green stuff kind of space? How close do you want to be to home, or what you call home? Do you want to try something completely different in a location that's brand new to you, or do you want to stay a little closer to what's familiar? If it matters to you, it matters to us. You'll have an opportunity to ask questions in the chat during each session. So make sure you show up as yourself, be yourself, and get those questions answered. The Colleges That Change Lives are 44 distinctly different liberal arts institutions located across the United States. Although they are all different in terms of their academic offerings, their personalities, their vibe on campus, sometimes even their single gender focus or faith affiliation, they all share a commitment to you and to the liberal arts, because we believe that no matter what you want to study or what you think you want to do once you have graduated from college, the liberal arts provides you with lifelong learning and will make you a more effective communicator, resourceful problem solver, and global citizen. And we think that's super important, especially for today. If there are questions that you have that don't get answered, or we can provide additional support or be a resource for you after the fair, throughout your college search and application process, don't hesitate to reach out to any one of the member colleges or myself. And if there are schools that you'd like to learn more about, or schools that are not represented at the virtual fair, be sure to check them out at our website, ctcl.org. Good luck, and thanks again for being here.
And without further ado, I'm going to pass it off to our first college of the evening, and that is Hope College.
Thanks very much, Kelsey. Good evening, everyone. My name is David Brady, and I am one of the admissions reps at Hope College. And I'm going to talk a little bit to you about Hope College this evening. So I appreciate you joining us. And again, look forward to answering any questions that you had. As Kelsey said, if you do have some questions throughout my conversation, if you want to put them in the Q&A, I'll be happy to answer them probably after my presentation is done. But I'm going to share my screen with you here and kind of give you a little bit in regards to what we are going to be talking about. So let me get this moved here so we can get in the presenter mode. And I am almost there. So there we go. All right. So again, as I said, my name is David Brady. And what I want to talk to you about tonight is a little bit about hopes. We'll talk about academics. We'll talk about the campus a little bit, student life. We'll also talk about the admissions process for us. But just to let you know, Hope College, we are a private Christian liberal arts school. We're located in Holland, Michigan. So we're actually about 10 minutes away from the big lake. So we're 10 minutes away from Lake Michigan, but we're adjacent to downtown Holland. So downtown Holland is 8th Street. It's this picturesque kind of hallmark type of downtown. And our campus starts on 9th Street. So it's just a beautiful location that's there. Again, we are a Christian liberal arts school. And I'll talk about that a little bit more after we talk about the academics at Hope College. Now, Hope, being a liberal arts school, we have more than 90 majors, minors, and pre-professional programs that students can access. Now, I think some of the unique things about Hope College are that we have the ability to not only the sciences, which really we're very, very strong in the sciences, so chemistry, biology, engineering, nursing, exercise science, but as well as the humanities. So we certainly have English and history, religion, philosophy, the arts. We're actually accredited in all 5 of the major arts. So creative writing, dance, theater, music, and visual arts as well. And we'll kind of talk about scholarships that you can acquire through those as well. But study abroad opportunities. So many, many things that you certainly can study if you do come to Hope College. Now, one thing you might be worried about, well, geez, I don't know what I want to do. I kind of have an idea what I want to do, but I really don't know. Just to let you know, typically when you're going to liberal arts schools, you're coming in undecided. And all of our students don't declare a major until 2nd semester of their freshman year. And actually only 30% do that. 70% of our students wait until their sophomore year to declare what that major is going to be. So let's continue on here. Academics, I think one of the biggest things that's interesting about Hope College and being a liberal arts school is research. And we have day 1 research communities that are excellent to get involved in as freshmen. So those are freshman year programs. But as well, throughout the school year or summer research, you have the opportunity to do that. Hope is ranked number 23rd in the nation for undergraduate research. So that gives students an opportunity to work hand in hand with our professors and obviously certainly do that research. And I think that's why 85% of our students who apply to get into medical school get in. That's one component that a lot of students don't have the ability to do that in undergrad programs. So certainly a great opportunity should you want to do something like that at Hope College and go into the medical field or into the sciences as a whole. Now, as well, like I said, Hope College is a faith-based institution. Now, we were founded by the Reformed Church of America 150 plus years ago, but really Hope is this very ecumenical place. Do you have to have a faith to come to Hope? No, you don't. The faith requirement or the faith aspect at Hope College really is all about just being very invitational. So we have chapel Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 10:30 to 10:52 in the morning. Students have the ability to go, but only about half of our students go. So of our 3,000 students, about 1,500 choose to attend chapel. We think that's very authentic, very organic, faith-based aspect for you to be able to dive into, again, your faith. And if you don't want to do that, you don't have to, but we certainly encourage students to do that. We have Bible study programs, mentor programs, mission trips that students can go on as well. So I love that aspect about Hope, and certainly we encourage our students to come and be part of that faith aspect should they choose to, if they attend Hope College. Now, athletics-wise, we have 22 varsity sports teams. We are Division III school, so we don't give any scholarships for athletics. You would only get scholarships for certainly merit-based, and we'll talk about that in a minute as well. There are intramural options if that's something that you really want to be part of, and so certainly can do that. Some traditions that we have at Hope. Actually, this last weekend, we had the pull. So that top picture that you see there, 124 years in the making. It's a tug of war between the freshman guys and the sophomore guys. So it's all about bragging rights. Did odd year win? Did even year win? And then as well, Nykirk, which is the bottom there, that's a competition between the freshman girls and the sophomore girls. But really unique in regards to really developing and building community around campus. So student organizations, we have basically 80 student organizations, and those range from a men's volleyball to sailing to hip hop club to social dance, lots of MSOs as well that we have that students can get a part of. Our student demographics, just so you know, like typically most schools that are out there, we're a male-female ratio of 60-40. So 60% female, 40% male. We are 20% underrepresented students or students of color. 60% of our students come from the state of Michigan, 14% from Illinois, and all others from 38 states. And we have about 167 international students that are on our campus as well. Our admissions timeline, just so you know, November 1st is our early notification deadline. After that, we move to a rolling admission. Decisions released Monday, November 22nd, as well as then the National Decision Day is going to be that May 1st. Now, financial aid scholarships, you can start FAFSA now. If you haven't done that with your parents, I encourage you to do that. Scholarship notifications we start to send out December 15th. And financial aid packages go out February 1st. Now, in regards to awards, scholarships, and we have merit-based awards based on GPA as well as standardized tests. For this year, again, we are test optional, both for admissions and merit award, but merit award starts at a 3.2 GPA and actually goes from $5,000 up to $24,000 of merit award each year. We also have Distinguished Artist Awards, which those are for art, music, dance, theater, creative writing. We have Heritage Award. We have a Covenant Scholarship, which is actually a full ride tuition, room, and board for underrepresented students. There's also a program called Hope Forward, which I certainly encourage you to check that out as well. There's questions that we have there, some things that I just wanted to kind of really talk to you about just as I finish up my time here. You know, one of the things that I would say in regards to Hope College is the fact that we are this, again, this faith-based institution, which really wants to run out and be able to allow students to really participate in the college atmosphere. We love putting students in leadership roles. So we have things like dance marathon or our orientation program or student government. And if there's one piece of advice I could give you today, wherever you go to college, get involved. What you do out of the classroom, I think sometimes is actually more important than what you do in the classroom. So I encourage you to do that wherever you go. Visit. If you want to find out how to come to Hope College and visit us, hope.edu/visit. And that will give you some options for the coming to check us out. But again, Hope is, we're about 3,000 students. We're about 10 minutes away from Lake Michigan. Beautiful, beautiful campus. We're what I call an open campus, but I certainly encourage you to certainly come check us out, visit us, reach out to an admissions rep. So go to hope.edu, the admissions tab, and you'll find out who your admissions rep is. So thanks for listening tonight. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, David. Next up, we are going to go to Agnes Scott College.
Yes, thank you so much. I am excited to tell you all a little bit about Agnes Scott. My name is Emily Davis Hamry. I am an Associate Director of Admission at Agnes Scott as well as an alum. And I'm happy to tell you a little bit more, starting with our mission statement, because I think it's a great place to start when learning about the college. At Agnes Scott, our mission statement is just to educate our students to think deeply, live honorably, and really engage the social and intellectual challenges of our times. So that's definitely something that is very important to the everyday experience that you have on campus, but it's also important to why our students, our staff, and our faculty are choosing to be a part of that community. So keep that mission statement in mind as we continue to talk about Agnes Scott. I also want to give you a few highlights on our campus itself and where we are. So we have a 100-acre campus in Decatur, Georgia. Decatur is a small town about 10 or 15 minutes from downtown Atlanta. So very much in that metro Atlanta area, and has easy access for our students to all of the professional and social opportunities available within that metro Atlanta area. We are an inclusive women's college. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in just a minute. But when you're trying to think of, okay, what sets Agnes Scott apart from other CTCL schools, we are the only women's college on the list. Another thing that we're really known for is our signature Summit experience. So Summit is our approach to the liberal arts and sciences. Again, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into it in just a minute. But when thinking about how is Agnes Scott different from other liberal arts colleges, that Summit is a big piece of that experience. And lastly, we do have NCAA Division III athletics, so 6 different varsity sports teams on our campus. In terms of who is actually present on our campus, we have just over 1,100 students that call Agnes Scott home, but they are packing a lot of different experiences within that student body. So you'll see up here, they come from 41 states and 12 different countries. About 62% of our students identify as students of color. So we actually don't have a racial or ethnic majority on campus, which I think is also pretty distinctive. About 32% of our students do identify as first-generation college students. And then that piece that I already mentioned, we are an inclusive women's college. So what that means is we are really centering the voices of women as well as other marginalized gender identities. So as an inclusive women's college, we accept students who were assigned female at birth, as well as students who may have been assigned male or female, but really identify across the gender spectrum at this point. So that's another thing to keep in mind as you're trying to get to know our student body and just who is on our campus from day to day. In terms of academics and what that looks like at Agnes Scott, we've got 34 majors and 31 minors. Some of our most popular ones include psychology, public health, neuroscience, business management, creative writing. So a good mix of interests among our student body. We also have 3 dual degree programs on our campus. So the way those work is you do 3 years at Agnes Scott, really getting the most out of that liberal arts and women's college experience before doing a final 2 years at a partner institution. So we have those partnerships with Emory University for nursing and computer science, as well as Georgia Tech for engineering. So that's really a great way to get the best of both worlds and actually end up graduating with a bachelor's degree from both institutions at the end of your 5 years. Additionally, we've got 7 graduate programs at Agnes Scott. So if you are interested in doing a 4+1 program, starting graduate level coursework in your final year at Agnes Scott and then adding on 1 more year, you can earn a master's from Agnes Scott. But we also have some other 4+1 partnerships with other colleges in Georgia and in the metro Atlanta area. So those are accessible for students, but a lot of our students are choosing to go on to graduate programs throughout the United States and really around the world. So lots of different options for continuing your education after Agnes Scott as well. Earlier, I mentioned Summit and that it was really our approach to the liberal arts. And unfortunately, I don't have enough time to tell you everything that I want to tell you about Summit. So I'm just going to start with some basics. Summit is really something that 100% of our students are going to experience during their time at Agnes Scott. It says up here, it begins the moment you set foot on campus. I would argue it begins the moment before you set foot on campus, because students do start working with their advisor during the summer before actually arriving for orientation and move-in day in the fall. It really does branch throughout your entire 4 years because it's the way that you're approaching your classes and the conversations you're having in those settings, as well as the things you're doing outside of the classroom. So Summit's really focused on these 3 major themes: global learning, leadership development, and professional success. And all three of those are really being infused into those courses that you're taking and into those conversations you're having on Agnes Scott's campus. Like I said, I don't have enough time to go into exactly how that happens. So if any of those ideas sound really interesting, global learning, leadership development, professional success, I'm going to share some ways that you can learn more about Agnes Scott at the end. So definitely take up one of those opportunities and learn a little bit more about Summit. In terms of what's happening while students are here and then after they leave Agnes Scott, I do want to mention that about 80% of our students are completing some kind of internship or mentored research while they're here. So definitely getting a lot of firsthand experience while they're on campus. As they are getting ready to leave Agnes Scott, about 80% of our students do say that the Agnes Scott Alum Network really helps them as they are figuring out those next steps after graduation. So you have a strong community and strong support system on campus, but that expands off campus as well. The way that we check in with students is 1 year after they walk across the graduation stage, we send out a survey to see where they are and what they're doing. So for the class of 2020, when we sent out that 1 year survey, about 87% of job seekers were in a full-time position. And for students who wanted to go into a graduate program, they had 100% acceptance rate. So definitely finding that success after they leave Agnes Scott's campus as well. And last but not least, I want to talk about some admission and financial aid fast facts really fast. So we are on the common application, and you can see up here, we've got 4 different deadlines that students can apply for. We have a holistic review process that is test optional. We've been test optional for just over 10 years now for both the admission and the scholarship process. So you do not have to submit SAT or ACT scores in order to be admitted to Agnes Scott and considered for those scholarships. When it comes to financial aid and scholarships, we work with the FAFSA to consider students for need-based aid. And for students who apply by January 15th, they're automatically going to be considered for all of our merit-based aid opportunities. One specific scholarship I want to highlight is the Agnes Assurance Scholarship. It's brand new this year, so I'm pretty excited about it. The way this Agnes Assurance Scholarship works is that all students who are admitted for the fall of 2022 will automatically receive this $22,000 scholarship if admitted. So from there, we have a few scholarships that are slightly higher than that level, and really you can be awarded those based on the strength of your application. But just know you're assured that you will have that $22,000 scholarship if admitted to Agnes Scott. If you do have questions about the application process, when to apply, how to apply, you want to learn more about those other scholarship opportunities or the types of aid that you might qualify for at Agnes Scott, I highly recommend setting up a time to talk with your admission counselor. It's a great way to talk through that process and figure out what it's going to look like for you. So feel free to scan the QR code to set up a time to chat with your admission counselor. And that's all the information that I have for you. I hope we get the chance to connect with you soon and tell you more about Agnes Scott.
Thank you. Next up, we are going to hear from McDaniel College.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. My name is Zachary Brown. I'm one of our assistant directors of admissions here at McDaniel. I'm also going to share a screen here momentarily, so bear with me as I find the right one. And we will get going from there. Let me move my Zoom box so it's not in my way. All right. All right, so I'm going to start with some fast facts about us here at McDaniel. So we are founded here in 1867. We're actually the first co-ed college south of the Mason-Dixon line. We have about 1,800 undergraduate students and about 1,200 graduate students, though you don't tend to see our grad students attend because that program, all of our graduate programs are almost entirely virtual. So the campus itself, we see grad students every once in a while, but it's really a pretty vibrant community. You'll see that next bullet here, the 84% of our students who live residentially on campus all 4 years. So it very much is a residential campus where you're going to see friends. things throughout campus on the weekends and things like that. And our average class size is 15 students with a student faculty ratio of 12:1. Oh, and I missed that location bullet there as well. We're in Westminster, Maryland. We're about 45 minutes north of Baltimore and about an hour directly north of DC if you don't count the traffic. So with the traffic, it can be an hour and a half to 2 hours, but that gives you a little bit of where we are. Of course, we're a member of Colleges That Change Lives. Here you are today. As far as our student body, some other details here, we're about 37% students of color from 32 different states as well as DC that are represented here. Almost all of our professors holding terminal degrees in their field, and 50% of our students participate in some kind of research or internship specifically within the major that they plan, but I'll get into some more details of what that all looks like in a bit. Some other aspects that we are part of here. And I actually want to start about the application a bit more upfront, just to kind of get these things out of the way, and I'll have some more time to talk about the fun stuff. So we are also on the Common application, as well as having our own McDaniel application. Honestly, whichever is easiest for you. Like many of the CTCL schools that you'll probably run into, we also do a holistic review opportunity for our students, where we're looking at all of the different areas of your life kind of in context with one another. So make sure that you're including your extracurricular activities and your leadership experiences and those things in your application materials. Your essay is super important to us in terms of understanding your personal voice and your personal perspective. It's the one place in your application where you get to use your personal voice. So really encourage students to write about something that is unique to them or something that brings their own personal unique perspective to the forefront. And then your transcript is the only other thing that you'll need. We do recommend 1 or 2 letters of recommendation, but they are not required, and we are fully test optional there as well. And at the bottom of this slide, you'll note the different deadlines. We do have our early decision, which is the binding deadline for November 1st and January 15th. And then November 15th and December 15th for early action, which is the non-binding. And then our last major decision is February 1st for a regular decision timeline as well. Over 90% of our students do receive financial aid of some variety, and our merit-based scholarships do range from about $15,000 up to about $28,000 per year. We do review those automatically, unless you tell us you might be eligible for one of our legacy scholarships. So those legacy scholarships are for anyone who has a parent who is an educator. So there's a K through 12 or community college educator. If you have a parent who is active or former military, or if you have a parent or a grandparent who is an alum of McDaniel, we have either the educators, military, or alumni legacy scholarships that you could participate in. And so those are valued at the $25,000 amount per year. And then we also have the presidential scholarships, which are our additional honors scholarships that you could be eligible for, as well as our Dorsey Scholarship Program, which is our full tuition, room and board program as well. That is also pulled from our kind of cohort of honors potential students. FAFSA is how we utilize any of the financial need-based aid. So make sure that you are filling that out. If you haven't already gotten started with it, that'll be a huge part of this kind of discussion. But now getting into some of the more fun stuff, we have all of the different kind of programs here at McDaniel. Some of the most popular are business administration, psychology, kinesiology as well. But this gives you an idea of the variety of different opportunities that we have on campus for our students. And the McDaniel plan is really our version of how students go throughout that process. So that's our version of that core liberal arts curriculum. And we do that in a way that is pretty unique. So instead of having any one individual course or any one individual kind of subject area, we actually have all of our requirements built around the different tenets of liberal arts education. So you'll note here, second language learning, quantitative reasoning, scientific inquiry. On this next slide, we have social, cultural, historical understanding, creative expression, and so on. But within each of these content areas, there really are upwards of 30 different individual course opportunities every single semester. And so you are really with the reins and have the power to design your own curriculum in a lot of ways as you're picking classes in these different areas based on what you're interested in. I definitely benefited from this when I was a student at McDaniel. I graduated from here in 2014. And so I was really able to find classes that made sense for me and were really helpful in terms of designing what I then wanted to do and how I wanted to accomplish those different goals that I developed along the way. One of the other premier kind of differences that we have from perhaps other schools you're looking at, though, is what we call our McDaniel Commitment. So this is a 4-part process that actually starts in the summer before your freshman year with a pre-orientation system. McDaniel Local really gets our students acclimated to campus so that they feel like they have a home and that they have a place here well before you have to officially move in. So that's a 2-day, 1 overnight visit over the summer. In January term, in between the first 2 semesters, we have a My Design course that helps our students to reflect on where their strengths and areas of opportunities might be, helping them to find those classes that they're looking for that might be interested in, or finding different ways to stay connected with the other resources available on campus to help you plan out the 4 years that you'll spend with us and beyond. My Experience is the 3rd part here, and this is a guarantee that every single student will have at least 2 experiential learning opportunities over the course of their 4 years with us. And we really want to focus on having those opportunities because it's not just about developing the skills in the classroom, but how you then put those skills into practice in a real setting. And then My Career focuses on that transition, not into college or through college like these other areas, but actually the transition from, your junior, spring, or senior fall, getting ready for graduation, and then what happens next after graduation. So we have different scaffoldings and supports that are built into the curriculum and built into your experiences all throughout those 4 different kind of markers as you go along the way. One thing that is pretty popular amongst our students is our study abroad program. One of the largest pieces of that is our Budapest campus. So McDaniel Europe is in Budapest, Hungary, and really is a popular place for students to go because you get to do that in a group of McDaniel students rather than being maybe the only one student studying abroad in that semester. But we also have shortened January term courses as well, where you can go for 2 to 3 weeks at a time instead of a full semester. And then student engagement is huge on our campus. We have over 80 different clubs of organizations on campus, 24 Division III sports teams. There's our Office of Student Engagement that oversees many of those groups, as well as our Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion on campus, who oversee any of those kind of cultural significant or other identities or organizations that come together around shared identity. And it's a huge part of who we are. So definitely hope you were looking to know more about McDaniel. There's my information here, and that is what I have for you today. So we'll go to our question and answer session. Hopefully there have been some awesome questions submitted, and I look forward to sharing the rest of my time, or the rest of our time together, with my other presenters.
Awesome. Thank you, Zach. So now I'm going to invite all 3 of our presenters to join me back on, and I'm going to share some questions with each of them, and they're going to answer in the same order in which they presented. So that first question I have is going to be, what advice would you give someone going through the college search process?
My advice would be obviously pick some schools that you're looking at. Is that a small school, big school? And obviously colleges that change lives. Most of us are small schools, but visit. You do not know and cannot know if an institution is the right place for you unless you get on campus. And, you can learn about a school and you can talk to an admissions rep, and an admissions reps can come to your high school and all those things. But really, until you set foot on campus, I think that's the most crucial aspect, because really you're looking for a place that's going to be your home. And all 3 of us here today would say students come to our campus all the time and they kind of say, oh, that's kind of a nice place. Does that mean it's the right place for them because you went and visited? No, but you have to get on multiple campuses. So I just encourage you, as much as you can and often as you can, get on campuses, because that's where you're going to see what the vibe of this place is, and is it the right fit for you?
Yeah, awesome. Great advice, first of all. I will kind of go off a similar vein and say, don't be afraid to visit a college or add a college to your list that's a little bit different than maybe your friends are looking at, than the other people in your school, than your family has considered. I come from this advice from the perspective of being a women's college. Maybe you don't know anyone else who's attended a women's college. You don't know what that experience looks like. The same for maybe you don't know anyone who attended a liberal arts institution, attended a college in a small town versus a metro area. Whatever it is, don't be afraid to do something a little bit different than the other people who are going through this process with you.
Yeah, I have the lucky spot of going last on this question here because there's been such great advice already. But one thing that I always like to encourage students is start big. I mean, do you want to see snow while you're at college? Do you want to be able to walk to a beach? You know, those kind of big questions really help to narrow down the 4,000 colleges that you might be looking at in the country, and then start to then narrow from there and really understand what it is that you are going to really want. And another part of that is, you know, a visit to a college that you don't like is just as helpful in identifying things that are important to that college search, because knowing what you don't want is just as helpful as knowing what you do want. And sometimes that what you don't want is easier to kind of come up with. So that's another piece that I would say.
Great advice, everyone. Our second question for the audience is going to be, what's one thing you want students to remember about your school? So this can be a fun fact, just something you shared, really anything you want them to remember.
I'd like you to remember about Hope College is, again, a liberal arts school. So you're really going to get the breadth of really being a great communicator, a great writer. But if the sciences are what you want to do, Hope is a great place. Like I said, we have a great biology, chemistry, engineering, nursing. And I would say that's one of the things that sets Hope apart from a lot of the other schools that are part of colleges that change lives. And they're all great schools, but those are some focuses that we have worked on over the past 25, 40, 50 years to really develop stellar programs in those areas. And then obviously, I think what falls along there is research as well. So if research is something that is intriguing to you, Hope's a great place to dabble in that.
And when it comes to kind of what sets an institution apart, I talked a little bit about it earlier, but I'll go back and reemphasize. I think when it comes to maybe the other colleges on the CTCL list, the fact that we are that inclusive women's college environment, I think really sets Agnes Scott apart. And when looking at those other liberal arts institutions, that summit experience, really the focus on global learning, leadership development, and professional success. I think that really changes the way that our students are experiencing the liberal arts and sciences and influencing their day-to-day life on campus.
Yeah, and for us, I think a huge part of what makes McDaniel so special is the kind of camaraderie amongst our community that we have, whether that is from the mentoring perspective of working with your professors here, but also the camaraderie that you find among your peers. A lot of us always talk about the benefit of those small class sizes from the perspective of having access to your professors, but I think that something that we do exceptionally well here is also emphasizing that your college experience is also about building perspective amongst the people that you're sharing college with. And so our student body is made up of theater students who go to the football games and football players who also go to the art gallery, and kind of understanding that the full picture of your college experience is both about personal growth as well as academic growth is something that we really strive to encourage amongst our students. So I think that sets us apart a bit.
Awesome. And now our final question for our panelists before we wrap up for the evening is, what is one myth you'd like to debunk in the college admissions process?
You know, I would have to say one myth is that it's so hard to get into college. Nobody gets into college because you have to have a 4.0 and a 36 on your ACT or a 1600 on your, nobody gets into college. Well, if that was the case, none of the three of us would be here. So take a deep breath, look at colleges, and certainly, yeah, you might have a college that is really a stretch for you in regards to the academic side of things. But again, if you're a great student, and what I mean by a great student, you love to learn, you've done a good job in high school in regards to a GPA, and you just want to learn, colleges that change lives, the institutions that are part of it would love to have you as part of them. So take a deep breath, take some of that pressure. We're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be so nervous. Yes. Some colleges have really, really hard admissions requirements. I can just tell you at Hope College, we're not one of the big Ivy League schools. So we're not that competitive. We would love to have students come and check us out. And we certainly want to make sure that you're going to be successful at our institution. So take a deep breath. The college admissions process is not as hard as you might think it is.
I think the myth that I want to debunk is that private colleges aren't affordable. That's one that we hear a lot. And that students tend to worry over and be concerned for, because the costs of college are very important, and covering the cost for college is an important piece of finding that perfect fit institution. But I think it's always worth checking out some private colleges and just learning about the types of aid available at that institution. We all talked about tonight, merit scholarships available. Of course, some schools have need-based aid that you might qualify for, depending on what state you're in, maybe state aid, maybe federal aid that you're going to qualify for. So if you're interested in a private college, don't automatically think I'm not going to be able to afford that. It's not for me. Check it out, connect with someone, maybe in the admission department, in the financial aid department, learn about what those opportunities are, and see if it might actually be something that's a good fit for you.
Yeah, and those two were the first two that came to my mind. So the kind of last one, I guess, myth is, I don't know. I mean, those two were really the first two that I was thinking about. But something else that I would just say is that this notion, and this might be cheating and taking more of the first one, but the notion that there isn't a good college for you, or the notion that you feel like you don't fit in with anything that you've heard or that anything that you've experienced, really kind of understanding who you are and understanding what you might be looking for is helpful. But a huge part of the college search is also discovering that. And a huge part of the college process is discovering who that person that you might want to be is. So I guess the myth that I've led myself into is that you have to have all of this figured out. Going into college undecided is okay. Going into college thinking that you're going to major in one thing and then getting in 2 days and then deciding, nope, that's not right. Also totally okay. Hi, I made it. I'm here. I did that. So, there's all sorts of ways that college journeys come together, and there's no one right version. And so really giving yourself the space to breathe and giving yourself the space to be yourself is the best possible thing you could do to set yourself up for success.
Guys really nailed those questions. So thank you so much. And thank you everyone for joining us tonight. When you close out of this window, there'll be a link to a very quick 5-question survey. We'd appreciate any feedback you can provide. We do encourage you to check back at the schedule and sign up for more sessions that will be happening tonight and tomorrow. You'll be able to find this session's recording as well as all of the other sessions recordings at strivescan.com/CTCL. Thank you so much to our panelists for joining us tonight, and thank you everyone for attending. I hope you all have a great evening.